Welcome to Benson on Injury Law.
Hello and welcome back to Benson on Injury Law with Paul Benson. Paul is a personal injury attorney based in Wisconsin, and he spent the last decade helping injured people across the state get the compensation they deserve after serious accidents, from car crashes to dog bites. Paul knows how quickly things can go wrong when insurance companies get involved early. I'm Kevin Rosenquist, and today we're talking about why reaching out to a lawyer sooner rather than later can make a major difference in how your case turns out. Paul, it's good to see you. Welcome back.
Yeah, good to see you as always, Kevin. Yeah, it really can make a big difference.
Yeah, I bet. And so when someone calls you after an accident, what's usually happening in those first few days?
So starting from the beginning is just the evidence from the accident scene. So a lot of evidence is very fleeting. It disappears quickly. Everything from skids on the road may not survive a snowstorm or a thunderstorm. Surveillance video from the neighborhood could be gone quickly, or from a nearby store. People's memories start to fade. The accidents, the witnesses who are listed in the police report, you'd be shocked how quickly people forget things or just change their phone number and then you can't reach them anymore. So early on, it's all about preserving that evidence. I had a mediation today, and it is a he said, she said situation. There is one witness. The witness doesn't remember any longer. So anyways, those things really happen every single day where I get involved in the case, maybe later down the road, and then you are trying to do your best with what you have, but you're limited because a lot of that evidence has disappeared.
Why do people wait? Do you think they're just kind of just hoping things will sort of work themselves out?
Yeah, what I hear a lot is, I'm not a lawsuit person. Like that exact quote. And no one is until they have to be. So,
Right.
Until the insurance company says we're not going to pay for this for X, Y, and Z. And then most people are like, well, actually, I would like to stand up for my rights. So then they call me, but it's so much easier if I can get involved in the beginning, go get all of that evidence. And it can really make a big difference. These days, a huge one is the video doorbells.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So many people have, and they might have that footage. But depending on what plan you have with Google or Ring or whoever, you only store your video for so long. So those kinds of things disappear quick, but can make a huge difference. Even if it's obvious whose fault it is. I recently represented a guy who was working. He was in his work truck and he was parked in front of a home, and he got rear-ended. And when I say it like that, it's like, oh, that doesn't sound that bad. But on video, that impact was so shocking. It took your breath away. I'll tell you, it took the value of the case way up, because anyone who watched that video knew his injuries were pretty serious.
Kind of that shock factor.
Yeah.
Yep.
Things that we can't go back and recreate.
Right. No, your comment on the ring is true, because I believe we have a ring, and I think we have to pay to keep that footage. I'm pretty sure.
There's a few different big providers, and they vary about how long they store it. And yeah, you can pay to keep the footage for longer. So the quicker that I can get in there and go start knocking on doors, the better.
When insurance adjusters reach out early, what kinds of problems do people run into?
Yeah, their goal is to try to get you to say something again that, number one, tries to take their driver off the hook. They're really good at trying to get you to say something like, oh, I don't think they did anything wrong, something that seems innocuous. Just get you to agree with the statement. You'll notice at the beginning, they will say, this is a recorded call. And they might say it's for like quality control purposes.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it is to record a statement to use later. And that is 100% the reason. And if you then, for whatever reason, tell your version of the story different later, they will try to hammer you with that and call you a liar. So it's so important, even your own insurance company, it's so important to talk to a lawyer first and have them help guide you through that process and prep you for what you're going to face. So that's on the liability side. The injury side as well. Their goal is to get you to say you're not hurt that bad. And then when, let's say your injuries maybe are pretty serious, they'll come back and say, well, on December 12th, you told me on the phone you're feeling pretty good. What changed? We're not going to pay for this. So for those reasons, it's really important to speak with a lawyer before you talk with the insurance company. It's really important. Sometimes that can be hard to do. It's hard to get a hold of someone. And the insurance company really ramps up the pressure and they try to tell you, no, you have to deal with this today. Well, in Wisconsin, in car accident cases, unless it's like a government vehicle, you have 3 years to make your claim. So although, yes, it's important to act quickly, don't think because they called me at 9 a.m., I called one lawyer, they didn't get back to me in the first 15 minutes, I'm just going to talk to the insurance company. And that's what they want you to do. You're playing into their hands.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned a few times getting involved early can change what evidence you're able to gather. Like, what do you find it that you're not able to get once if someone waits too long?
So there's a couple things I talked about, like tire tracks, video footage, even the debris, like where the debris is in the road, talking to the police officer about their account of the accident. That's huge because the officer remembers that accident for a few days, probably. They respond to lots of accidents.
Sure.
So it starts to, they lose that memory of what happened. So memory is fading. Other things that really just can go quickly is on the medical side. So making sure that the doctors and the hospital not only are handling the case right and sending the bills to the right place, that's a whole topic, but then also, are they documenting the injury properly? Because I can't put that genie back in the bottle a year later. But if the doctors, they're doing their best, but sometimes these ER physicians aren't the best at documenting the injury. And as far as the insurance company is concerned, if you don't complain about something and it's not the emergency room note, it may as well not have happened. They're not going to pay you for it. You're going to have to go convince a jury. You'll never settle your case for fair value. So making sure that medical part of your case goes correctly is a huge value that we're able to provide when we're involved early.
Does the timing matter in those medical bills and documentation? Because does that change how an insurance company will look at it?
It does. So here in Wisconsin, we have something called the collateral source rule. That just means that if the health insurance pays the medical bills, that's great. You get to pay them back, but you get to recover the sticker price from the insurance company. And that difference you get to put in your pocket. The problem is the hospitals would prefer to bill auto insurance and try to get that sticker price, which they never get, rather than that discounted rate through the health plan. And that's bad for a couple of reasons. Number one, you just get less money. Two, you are taking that risk instead of them. They'll maybe say, we'll wait to get paid. A medical provider might say, we'll wait to get paid to the end of the case. But you are now holding that risk instead of your health insurance plan. So, don't let them do that. A lot of times, on the timeliness, the health plan only has maybe 180 days in their contract or they won't pay the bill. So if the hospital drags out the clock on you and doesn't submit that in a timely manner, either, sometimes 180 days, sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's a year, then those bills won't get paid. And now, let's say you lose the case or the other driver had a state minimum policy, he's running around with $25,000 of coverage, you're stuck then holding that. So making sure those bills get paid properly is a lot easier to do if we're involved early on. If it's a year past and they've already, made up their mind that they are going to bill auto insurance for this, it's really hard for me to change their mind.
Yeah. Do you think that do people tend to feel like they're they wait to go see a doctor? Because I could totally see, perhaps we've talked about this before, but a lot of times you're like, I'm tough. I can fight through this.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah.
And then it comes too late.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think they'll get better because we normally do.
Sure.
And I'll never say just go get fake medical treatment. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're going to get checked out, what I tell people is go sooner than later because you don't know what's going to happen in the meantime.
Right.
People get into car accidents in the same week sometimes, or you get a sports injury. Now we're trying to untangle your two injuries, and that can be hard. So it's something, go get checked out, make sure everything's okay. The flip side of that coin, I think about like in dog bite cases, but car accident cases too. If you don't go get checked out and you had an injury that could have been treated and then was made worse, the insurance company will argue you failed to mitigate your damages. That's a fancy legal word for limit or minimize. So they'll say you failed to mitigate your damages. We're not paying for that either. So take that away from them. Go get checked out. Make sure you're okay.
Mm-hmm. I know we've talked about this in previous episodes, but for the sake of our discussion today on getting to a lawyer early, what are some of the other early moves that insurance companies will make that people need to be aware of?
One thing is they will send you blank medical releases for you to sign. Yep, blank, undated, so that they can get your entire medical history. And they don't have innocent ideas with that. Again, their duty is to maximize profits for their shareholders, which means pay the least amount they can on claims. They're trying to find something from 5, 10, 20 years ago to use against you, whether that's a previous injury or who knows whatever private thing in your medical past. They are hoping to use that against you later, or even just embarrass you. Maybe they know it's unlikely to get into evidence, but they might be able to embarrass you with it to get you to take less money. The other thing that I've seen recently is they'll just send you a check. They'll send you $1,000 check or a $1,500 check, say sign here, and here you go. And they won't really explain you're settling your case. But that is a recent tactic that I've seen. Or they'll even say, sign this on your phone, which they know you're even less likely to read something that is sent to your phone. And they'll say, we'll wire the money to your checking account, $1,000 to help with these bills and stuff. And what you don't realize you're doing is you're settling your claim. So that has happened to me a few times recently where people signed settlement agreements, sent to their phones, accepted money, didn't realize they were settling the case.
Is that something you think will get some legal attention? I mean, that just seems so shady. I mean, that seems horrible.
It is. You would hope so, but our law really says you got to know what you're signing. If they send them the agreement, it'd be nice. It'd be nice. Although I'm not sure if that's going to change. So many contracts now are just digital and sent to, I think Netflix updates their terms of subscription. Disney updated, the famous one is Disney did that. And then we're not allowing people to sue them for injuries that happened at their parks because they agreed to terms and conditions on their TV app. So no, I sadly, I don't think there's momentum for that to change.
Yeah. And to your point about phones too, like, I mean, we all download so many apps and different things. And when that screen comes up, you just hit agree. You don't really like read it. I mean, you might read it because you're a lawyer. I don't read it.
I don't read them. No, same thing. Because I don't have a choice. I'm realizing, and that speaks to the unfairness, but if I'm going to use this service, I'm realizing I don't have a choice. I have no real ability to like negotiate this contract.
That's true.
It's take it or leave it, right?
You can use the app or you can't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good point too. Yeah. It's not like if you say, well, I disagree to this. They're like, okay, well, let's go to the negotiating table. We'll figure this out.
Yeah. No, you just don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. So yeah, it puts people in this, car accident situation in a really tough spot, especially if you need the money. You need to, maybe you need to rent a car. You need to pay that copay from the hospital. It's very enticing to sometimes take that first $1,000 or $1,500 and just move on. Yeah, another thing, they often put strings on that. Sometimes they'll say, we'll give you this, we'll pay for all your medical bills, just sign here. And a term that they almost always will put in there is medical bills like within a certain amount of time, normally 30 days. But the reality is a lot of times your treatment doesn't resolve within 30 days. And then you're going to be, again, you're holding that bag after that 30-day timeline. If you don't do this all day, you have no idea what to look out for. But those are the kind of things that they are trying to do.
So let's walk through this briefly. So someone, I get into a car accident. It's not major, but it's not a fender bender either. So I'm a little sore, but I don't need to go to the emergency room. I'm not getting taken away in an ambulance. But I'm definitely, I've got some neck pain, some back pain. Walk me through what I should do in this scenario.
Yeah, the first thing you should do, document everything at the crash scene. Take as many photos and video as you can. Video is good because it captures things you don't even realize.
Right.
So you're not going to know what's going to be important at the moment, but depending on that crash evidence, engineers can do wild things and try to recreate what happened, but every little bit of evidence helped. That's number one. Number two, make sure you tell your side of the story to the police. Stick to the facts, tell your version to the police. It is so important to get that police report accurate because that's the first piece of evidence in the case. Next, report the accident to your insurance company, but tell them that you would like to speak to an attorney and have an attorney call them. And then I would call an attorney. I'd call an attorney right away so that you can walk through that process. And again, this is under your scenario where this is not life-threatening injuries. Yes, if there was that, of course, go to the hospital, take care of yourself first. But then I would say, call a lawyer sooner than later. I always talk to people for free. I tell lots of people it doesn't make sense to hire me. I'll be honest with you and I'll give you advice on how to handle your case without me. If I think, hey, your case is pretty modest, let's see what they offer without me. I tell dozens and dozens of people to do that, to go through this process and see what it looks like. And I will talk them through for free what that looks like. Or if I'm saying, hey, this is worth hiring an attorney. It is worth signing a contingent fee and giving a percentage of your case because I think we'll do better. So, and most injury lawyers are like that. Give me or someone a call and we will give you that advice and hopefully be able to point you in the right direction. And if it makes sense, represent you.
Mm-hmm. And then do you generally recommend people to go get checked out if they're feeling a little sore, even if it's just kind of minor?
Yeah. I mean, again, if you are hurt enough, yes, I would say go get checked out. Make sure you're okay. Make sure some injuries can be more risky after the fact if they're not discovered. Some people, you bang your head, you think you're okay. Well, you could have a brain bleed, right? You could have a hemorrhage on your brain, which can be really serious if it's not taken care of. There are spinal cord injuries that may seem like, oh, I've just got whiplash. And no, it actually was a really bad spinal cord injury that needed to be treated more seriously. So yes, I do think in most cases, it makes sense to go get checked out. And the paramedics will normally tell you that. So often I hear, the paramedics told me to go get checked out, but I thought I was fine. And then they end up going later. And again, now some of that evidence has disappeared. The doctor can't get as good of a diagnosis. So yeah, go get checked out right away. Make sure you mention every single part of your body that was injured too. You hate that you have to prepare for litigation when you're at the hospital, but that's the reality. So when you're there, I would say just go head to toe and name every single part of your body that's injured.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's great advice. All right. Well, thanks for listening to Benson on Injury Law. If you've been injured in Wisconsin and aren't sure whether it's the right time to call a lawyer, you don't have to wait or guess. Visit paulbensonlawfirm.com, schedule a free consultation, get the answers about your situation. And if today's episode was helpful, please subscribe and leave us a review so more people can learn about what to do after an accident. Paul, always great chatting with you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.